Welcome back to Wave Dawker. Today's video is episode 8 of Waves Faves. I'm going to be picking my weekly picks for NFL Week 11. Last week I went 8-5 with my picks. This week, we're hoping to improve on that. It's been a shaky few weeks for the Waves Faves picks, but I am 39-30 overall. So I'm creeping back to 500. So I'm hoping to elevate that. There are 3, 6, 9, 12. There are 14 games this week, so there are 4 teams off. I could improve to 53-30, which would be pretty impressive. But that's very unlikely. But may as well try. I missed a few pretty big games last week with my picks. I picked the Ravens to beat the Browns, and I don't know. Every time I seem to pick the Ravens, they seem to do the opposite result. So let's see if we can not continue that trend this week, and hopefully, I picked them right. But let's just get into it. Like and subscribe. Waves Faves. Let's get it going. Thursday Night Football. Bengals Ravens. I picked the Bengals. I don't know why. Both of these teams are coming off of losses. Cincinnati lost to the Texans last week after C.J. Stroud went insane mode, and the Ravens lost to the Browns. I think both these teams are coming off of losses. Really big divisional game. This is the second time they met. I think the Ravens won week 1. Thursday Night Football. T. Higgins is out. Blackout jerseys for the Ravens at M&T. I don't know. A lot seems to sway in the Ravens' favor, but I think just for the sake of the pick, I'm going to go with the Bengals. Next up is Steelers-Browns. The Steelers are one of the most surprising 6-3 teams in the entire league. That's just the Mike Tomlin effect. He just kind of impacts winning, and they get outgained every game and still find a way to win. And the Browns are without Deshaun Watson. They're starting that rookie guy. It's like 3 names. I forget. It's like JTR or something. I don't know. I forget his name. I thought they're going to do PJ Walker, but Schefter announced that they're starting their third string guy instead of PJ, which is kind of, I'm surprised about that. Actually, maybe PJ's in concussion protocol or something. I don't know. I'm taking the Steelers. I don't know why. I just think it'd be funny to see the Steelers improve to 7-3 while looking like one of the worst offenses in the league. Next up is Lions Bears. I'm taking the Lions. The Lions won last week. They beat Chargers game-winning field goal. Lions are 7-2. I think it's only the second or third time in the last 60 years that they've been 7-2, which is just a very profound fact and stat, which I think is very funny and very it fits the Lions. But I think they're playing good football this year, and I think they're going to beat the Bears. I'm not really sure. I think Fields might be back, but if not, they're still putting out that rookie guy. And I think they won. They beat the Panthers last week, but I don't know. The Lions are playing good football right now, and I think they're going to continue that and beat the Bears. Next up is Chargers-Packers. I'm going to take the Chargers. Chargers have been a really weird team this year. Their offense has been pretty spectacular. I think Justin Herbert, he's one of the better, young quarterbacks in the league. And the Packers just kind of stink. Jordan Love's just not a very good quarterback, and I think the Chargers, I think they're going to beat them by over 20 points. But that football may football, and that may not be the case. Next up, Raiders-Dolphins. I'm taking the Raiders in this game. Since the Raiders have hired their interim head coach, who was one of their coordinators, I think, after firing Josh McDaniel, they've won 2 straight games. And the vibes are high in Las Vegas right now. Devontae Adams looks like he's actually happy to be in Vegas. And I don't know, it's looking good. And I think that the Raiders are going to upset the Dolphins. The Dolphins, did they have a bye last week? I think they did. And then they lost to the Chiefs before that. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, I'm going to take the Raiders. I don't know, upset. It's upset season. Next up is Commanders-Giants. I'm going to take the Commanders. I took the Commanders last week, but they didn't. Oh, no, I took the Seahawks last week. But I've praised the Commanders on this show, I guess, very frequently because, in the 2 games that they played the Eagles this year, they looked, very good, and they played us very well. And Sam Howell is a fairly good quarterback. He's top 5 in passing yards. And the Giants are one of the worst teams in the NFL, probably the worst, besides the Panthers maybe. They got blown out by the Cowboys last week, and Tommy DeVito, he lives with his parents, which is no issue. I live with my parents, but, he's in the NFL. So, I think that's kind of funny. I'm going to take the Commanders. I just think Sam Howell, I don't know. He's just, they found their guy. And I'm happy for Washington in that sense that, they're kind of out of QB purgatory, but also I want them to lose every time that they play us. But that's a whole other story. Next up is Cowboys-Panthers. I'm taking the Cowboys. This may be 50-0. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. The Cowboys are a good football team, I guess. I don't really like saying that, but they are good. But they're just not good when it matters. They tend to just blow out the really bad teams, and I think it's going to continue this Sunday. I think they're going to beat the Panthers by 50. That's all I have to say about that. Next up is Titans-Jaguars. I'm going to take the Titans. Titans did lose to the Buccaneers last week, and I think the Jags lost to the Niners. Was that last week? I don't know, but I don't know. I like Will Levis. I think he's gonna, I think they're gonna bounce back this week, and they're gonna beat the Jaguars. Bit of an upset, I guess, kind of AFC South upset, but whatever. Next up, Texans Cardinals. I'm taking the Texans. CJ Stroud looks like one of the best rookie quarterbacks of all time. He's just putting up like ungodly numbers, and I think like I saw a stat where it was like him, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, and like Aaron Rodgers maybe, where it's like through 10 weeks, leading like only players to lead the league in like passer rating, completion percentage, and one other stat. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like CJ Stroud is phenomenal, and I'm glad that he's not in Carolina because I don't think he'd be playing at the same level because Texans are better in more quarterback-centric areas than the Panthers are, like their O-line. But I'm just happy for CJ Stroud. And I don't know. I mean, Kyler Murray came back last week, and they did get a win against the Falcons, but I don't know. I just think the Texans are rolling right now. I think they're going to continue that. Next up is Buccaneers-Niners. I'm taking the Bucs. This is just my 49ers hate kind of coming through, but I think they're just going to have, an upset win. Baker Mayfield is a pretty good quarterback, and, for the first few weeks, he made the Buccaneers look like a pretty good team. And they've been playing solid football since that Eagles loss. But I don't know. I just think they're going to continue that, and they're going to upset the Niners. I don't know. I got really no reason behind it, but it's hard to predict football. Football is one of the sports, I think, that has the most amount of parity week to week because it's only, you only get one game every week. So it's hard to predict it, but it's fun to predict it, though. But, yeah, I'm taking the Bucs. Next up is Bills-Jets. Both of these teams lost last week. The Bills lost to the flipping Broncos. And I love Josh Allen. I think he's a funny guy. He's an all right quarterback, and it kind of sucks to see how he's playing right now, but I think they're going to bounce back. Like, I think and especially in the AFC East, like, there's probably a chance. Actually, not really, especially with how the AFC North is playing. But, if they get their stuff together, I think they could potentially be a playoff team. But I don't know. I just like Josh Allen, and I think they're going to beat the Jets because the Jets are sticking with Zach Wilson. I think it's a long-term plan. It's not really a good idea. Next up is Rams-Seahawks. I'm going to take the Rams. I don't know. Divisional matchup. The Seahawks did just come off a pretty big win against the Commanders last week, but I don't know. I think Matthew Stafford's back, which is very exciting for Los Angeles. And they did sign Carson Wentz last week, so that's something for them, I guess. I think they're going to use that, and they're going to beat the Seahawks. I don't know. Next up is Vikings-Broncos. I'm taking the Vikings. Josh Dobbs has looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the league these last few weeks, leading, coming in off the bench and leading them to a win against the Falcons, and then beating the who'd they play last week? A little notepad here. They beat the Saints. And Josh Dobbs is just looking phenomenal. He's a smart guy, rocket scientist. He picked up the Viking schemes fairly quickly, and he's led them to 2 straight wins, which is pretty cool for Minnesota. And they're gonna beat the Broncos, even though the Broncos have won 3 straight games. And Russ has looked pretty phenomenal. I just think the Vikings are gonna stop that. Finally, biggest game of the week for me and probably just for the NFL as a viewer, Eagles-Chiefs in Arrowhead, first game since the Super Bowl. I'm taking the Eagles, obviously. I don't think you could be an Eagles fan and not pick the Eagles in a matchup. Like, I'm not a network analyst. I'm a guy recording YouTube videos in my bedroom. I'm allowed to be biased. And I don't know. Both teams are coming off byes. Both teams are coming off wins. And I just feel like at this point in time, I think the Eagles. I mean, I thought this in the Super Bowl as well. But, Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, and he's able to just work his magic. But I just think matchup-wise, the Eagles are a better football team than the Chiefs. Jalen Hurts, and while the narrative is that the Eagles look worse than they did last year, I think as a team, that the mindset and the way that they're playing is better than last year because when you lose, I'm not going on a whole rant here, but that's fine, it's my channel. When you lose in the Super Bowl and at the biggest stage, you will come back and you're even hungrier than before. And Jalen Hurts is one of the most mentally sound and mature quarterbacks in the league, and he knows what he's about, and he knows his process, and he knows how he goes about things. And I just think he came back even hungrier this year. Second full year, him and AJ Brown, best friends. We have I don't know, Jason Kelce potentially his last year. I think the narrative and the mindset for this team is better than it was last year. I think when we beat the Chiefs in this game. I just think it's just gonna be a big thing. And the Chiefs look great. You know, Travis Kelce, obviously, big talk of the town. Taylor Swift. Like, I love Travis Kelce. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. He's gonna work his thing. But I don't know. I just think, especially with a lot of the Eagles secondary coming back from injury, I think they're just gonna it's gonna be like we're probably gonna double Travis Kelce, and then like their wide receiver options are like, I mean, you have Kadarius Toney, you have like Sky Moore and all those guys. I don't know. I just think we match up really well against them. I think it's going to be a very exciting game. I actually worked that night, so I'm kind of pissed off about that. So hopefully I can get off early or to be able to sneak a few minutes of watching it while working. But I think this should be one of the best games of the year. And maybe another Super Bowl preview. Like, I think the Chiefs are probably the best team in the AFC. A lot of people think that the Ravens are up there as well, but I just think in the Lamar era, especially, the Ravens tend to fall apart in the later weeks. So I guess we'll see. You know, they've been playing all right football when they win, but when they lose, it kind of like shows a lot of glaring issues with that team. But I don't know. I think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC, and I think the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC. So this should be a very fun game. Hopefully all these picks are right, and hopefully the Eagles win on Monday. They will win on Monday. Go Birds. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.